You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? It's Chris Vogel from the Straight Up Saints podcast presented by Boot Crew Media and DraftKings Sportsbook. And we're going to start this Monday with some good news, some positive news for the New Orleans Saints. And that's Will Lutz, Saints kicker. He's been cleared for action. And that is just thrilling news for the Saints. Obviously, the special teams unit, the kicking unit, I would say, of last season was one of the biggest weaknesses. So obviously getting Will Lutz back is huge. And you can tell this means a lot for him just reading his Instagram post, and I'll share it here. He said, after 11 months and multiple surgeries and setbacks have officially been cleared, no words can explain how hard these 11 months have been mentally and physically, but it's added a whole new perspective and motivation to get back on top. A lot of work ahead, but I can't wait to be back on the field helping this team win games. Now, look, the obvious here is that Will Lutz returning is good for the New Orleans Saints. I know everyone can say that. It's the obvious thing. It's the correct thing. But I think it's just further than just, hey, they have an upgrade at kicker. Will Lutz being on the field for the Saints, it's not just about improving that unit. It's about actually improving the win total of this team. And that might sound crazy to some, and I think for others it's going to sound spot on. But the reality is, had the New Orleans Saints had stability at the kicking position last year, the season looks a little bit different. Now, I don't think it's as fun of a season as we all thought because injuries just kind of took the wind out of their sails. But there were a couple of games, thinking of games like the Tennessee one, maybe even the New York one, where kicking just wasn't even an option because it wasn't going to happen. Like, think about the Titans game. They missed 2 extra points there. Or think about the Giants game. There were times where they'd get near the red zone. It's just a waste because you're not getting your 3 points out of there because you didn't have a good kicker. So bringing back Will Lutz, that obviously will help. Now, I think there are questions like, where is Will Lutz at? Because I think a surgery like he had and a core muscle injury, those are no gimmies, right? There's certain injuries that you have where you got to see them back in action before you can say for certain that they are back to form. But let's say Will Lutz isn't as great as he's been in years past. And what I mean by that is Will Lutz in 2018, he made 93.3% of his field goals. That's nuts. He took 30, he missed 2. That is just wild. But let's say he's closer to what we saw in 2020, right? Which is 23 of 28, still over 82%. That is way better than what the Saints got out of Brian Johnson, Cody Parkey, Aldrick Rosas. And I know that one is the one that really bothers me because Aldrick Rosas, nothing was really happening there, unfortunately for him. Just, it wasn't working. And I know Brett Maher had some success, and I talked about this previously. He was really good in that 20 to 29 and 30 to 39 range, but you weren't getting much outside of that, right? 40 plus was not where he's specializing, especially 50 beyond. That's just not happening. And a lot of the field goals that the Saints did get with Brett Maher late in the year, they were those drives where you really should have had 7, and then you just took the 3 because you were right there in field goal range. That's where a lot of it came from. And I'm not here to knock the job that he did because out of all the kickers that played for the Saints last year, he was the best one they had. But Will Lutz gives them immediate, I would say, upgrade, but also an immediate sense of stability. And that's something that the Saints didn't have last year. And I know it's different right now. Dennis Allen's calling the shots as opposed to Sean Payton, but you could tell last year there were times where Sean Payton just knew, man, we're not kicking this football. Like, it's not happening. So we're either going to punt it or we're going to go for it. And it changes so many things, right? And this is something that goes into the very level and specifics of an NFL game over the course of one. There are drives where, whether or not you like it, you're thinking in your head, right, okay, but worst case, we could settle for 3, right? You didn't really always have that option last year. Will Lutz being back, if he is the Will Lutz that we know he can be, that changes a whole lot. And I know all the talk is about Michael Thomas coming back and, how will Peyton Turner look in year 2, or how did Jameis Winston look off the injury? All of them great points, all of them fair questions because those are all impact players the Saints are going to need, right? But man, it just feels like sometimes we don't talk about special teams enough. So when you get the news that Will Lutz is back, you can't help but be happy because he will definitely, in my opinion, change the outcome of at least one game next season. And I'm being very generous by saying just one. It could be more than that. And if Will Lutz is on, in those late game situations, you want a kicker who can hit a 57-yarder for the win, which he's done in the past. So Will Lutz coming back. Super excited about that. Now, obviously, you need to get through training camp, mini camp, all that. He's got to get through that with no setbacks. But 11 months, they've done their time. They've kind of went about this rehab process the way they had to. No missteps there. I feel pretty good about where Will Lutz will be. And to move a step further, The Saints didn't make any big kicking moves this year. I know they brought in an undrafted rookie out of Virginia Tech, but they got rid of Brett Maher. They didn't get another veteran kicker to come compete. That's a good sign that they like where Will Lutz is at, which makes me think we're going to have another year of Will Lutz doing pretty damn well for the New Orleans Saints. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Are you pumped that Will Lutz is back? Is it something that you don't think is that big of a deal? Are you ready to kind of run laps about how excited you are that Will Lutz is back? Let me know in the comment section below. But I do think this is a huge upgrade and boost for this Saints team. And I think we'll see if they can stay healthy. Yes, there are changes to this New Orleans Saints team, but the guys that they're getting back might be even more impactful than the ones they've added this offseason. So much talk about Tyrann Mathieu, so much talk about Jarvis Landry and Chris Olave, and rightfully so. But if you get Michael Thomas back, you get Will Lutz back, you get those two guys, two really, really talented guys at their position, changes a whole lot for the New Orleans Saints. So minicamp's coming up, guys. Later this week actually starts on Tuesday, so we'll see what happens there. Going to be a really fun time for us Saints fans, and we'll see what happens. But keep it plugged in here on the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for the